Internet, hello you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about Gen V Season 2, Episode 5, which is by far my favorite episode of the season. We have reached that pressure cooker, that making a diamond out of coal feeling that Cypher is trying to bring Marie to, and this show is so good at blending themes and big ideas and incredible performances. Going to be talking about all the reveals, all of the ideas this episode brought. So much to discuss. If you're new to this page, please hit that subscription bell. Very excited to say we passed 50K, so we are now on the road to 75,000. This page covers movies, it covers TV, it covers lots and lots of comic books. I read all of The Boys back in 2006, and I love that show, and I'm loving the spinoff and what's it doing for comic culture. So if you like movies, TV, comics, any of that stuff, please hit that subscription bell. Press a like while you're pressing buttons. Also, leave a comment below. That is my favorite thing, is having conversations about this incredible art in the comments. That's the power of the internet. All right, Gen V, Episode 5. I love the themes that are being presented with powers here. I love the idea that is introduced and used over and over again in this episode, which is you are the person you are before you get your powers, and those powers just augment who you are always going to be. And sometimes that ties into your power set, sometimes that ties into how your powers get brought to light. This episode showed us that. I mean, we've teased this with Emma, but her feeling bad about herself or good about herself, big or small, but the bulimia and the use of making herself throw up is beyond the powers, and it was tying in a very interesting way. But we also get that with Sam finding out that it wasn't the Gen V that broke his mind. His mind was broken, and his parents, especially because they had this golden boy, wanted to fix their kid by any means necessary. However they could, they would do anything for their kid. Including sneeze. So I love that we see how this all came to be, and that ties into Monica and, Marie, and Marie having the powers that she does, and also the feelings of guilt and that self-harm chicken egg situation of how this came to be. And I think it's really powerful stuff having a teen show address these themes and issues in a heightened reality, right? Like, teen dramas are always a little heightened because that's a crazy time in our life. Superhero stuff is always heightened because it's a Trojan horse of morality. This show is able to do both, and it does it a little bit more gently than The Boys, as in, it's not as mean-spirited as The Boys. It's still perverse, it's still very intense and gross and violent, but it is not as mad at you as The Boys sometimes feels, and I love The Boys. I'm just saying, like, the show feels a little gentler, and I like that. And I really think this show is addressing themes that need to be addressed, and it's doing it in really fascinating ways. The violation that Jordan feels, and the use of Cypher's powers, and all of this makes me wonder, Cypher's powers, he can get in people's minds, he can control them, but he was probably already a master manipulator. So how much of his reading people, how much of his ability to manipulate is his power or his person? How much of it is his charm and his own innate ability to manipulate? He is a fascinating character. What Hamish Linklater is doing here is, I think, in one season, obviously, I hope we get more seasons of him, and I don't know what's going to happen to his character, but this is up there with Homelander for me. Like, this is an incredible performance. It is so nuanced and so in control and so calculating and fascinating. Loving it oh so very much. And we're seeing that element of always being a few steps ahead with especially the reveal of the sister. We have been waiting to meet Marie's sister for a season and a half. We have been waiting for this moment, and it happens out of nowhere, surprising the hell out of me at least, where we get to see her reunite, and it's in a prison cell, and it's to cause this pressure for Marie. It's to see her ascend to this moment. We get all that beautiful biblical, powerful dialogue, making me think of Black Mass with Hamish with that incredible Flanagan show. But we also get this culmination of where we've been for a season and a half, and it's in this brutal, violent, bloody way, and then we see her get forced to go, and then boom, cliffhanger. I also want to give a lot of love to this show being a very effective spin-off tie-in. A lot of times spin-offs don't work. Joey with Friends and some of the, Parks and Rec changed from being an Office spin-off into what it was, but that's a great example of when it does work. This one's doing something different where it's not spinning off and going into something different. It's a tie-in. It directly ties into The Boys. It's like a season 4.5 going into season 5 of The Boys. And instead of just doing cameos that feel like they're fan service, instead of doing stuff that feels like it's pandering, like some things feel in shared universes, this is doing a great job making an appearance by Starlight feel essential, by having in this episode Sister Sage move the plot along and be an oh my god, she's in this too moment. We've had a bunch of the Deep, we've had a little bit of Black Noir, we've had in this episode Maeve. All these tie-ins further the plot, and they feel like they're intrinsic to a shared universe as opposed to just cameos. So I'm really impressed with the writing, both in individual characters and in world building and in the depths of these characters' arcs. I love where we are with Emma. I love what we've gone through with her. I love the performance and how very effortless she feels, but I also love that I want to hate, I want to despise Kate, and yet they give us a scene here where she is so broken and put in this horrible position, and you somehow care so much, even though Kate has been working against us a lot of the time. Same with Sam, but this episode with Kate, the brokenness and the depravity and the violation and all of that, you feel so bad for her, even knowing everything. The redemption of Kate is a crazy thing to behold. And then Sam, we get this great, very X-Men 1 themed Iceman and his parents scene of by the way, I'm reacting to these over at Real Rejects. Greg pointed this out. I want to give him his flowers. It is directly from that Iceman scene, the mutant parallel. But check out our reactions over there if you want to see me reacting as well as my reviews here. But I love that we get that scene, and I'm doubting his parents. That paranoia about his mom I felt, and then she turned out to be an absolute sweetheart. The defensiveness of the dad, all those things, discovering Sam, giving him some redemption too, even though he betrayed us at the end of season 1. What they've done in the redemption arcs from Sam and Kate, not just making them bad guys, even though they were full-on bad guys if you only watch The Boys, their redemption here is fascinating. Then you've got our 3 leads, which I'm loving the women of the show just absolutely navigating all of their own personal trauma, but making them stronger together, and then everything both sexes of Jordan have gone through, that whole experience and their vulnerability and their relationship with Marie, all while Emma's trying to figure out who she is and find herself. And then we had a lot of stuff with Polarity in this episode. We had his incredible scene with Cypher, which is some of the best acting. My God, his ability to control across a room. And then Polarity navigating, obviously, him sleuthing and Cypher being a few steps ahead and knowing the whole time. And then Cypher breaking and everything going awry, and that not even being the climax of the episode, going back to the prison. This episode is everything I love about The Boys. It is the vulgar, it is in a very narrative-driven way, it is violent in a way that feels like it's deserved, it is beautiful world building, it is incredibly comic booky, it's got a mystery box element. We still don't know what's going on with Odessa fully. We get a little bit more each episode. Every time they answer one question, they ask 5. We get, the Godolkin dad in his state. I assume that's a part of what, he wants her powers for, is to maybe do something with the blood and reverse something. We also found out he is in fact in pain at all times. Is there something she can do with blood to fix that? I think this is all leading to her being the all-powerful entity that can maybe take on Homelander in The Boys season 5. It's all the things I like about comic adaptations when done right, and it's doing an incredible job as a show of its own. So really freaking impressed. I love this episode top to bottom. I think it is my favorite episode of the season. I think opening the way they did, with the big cliffhanger at the end of the last episode with the fight and us coming back into the UFC, we get some pop culture references, we get that great Dana White line, but then it's like halfway through the episode, we get that it's a trap moment, and the way they edit and put you in the prison cells with them. We haven't gotten to live in the prison very much. Now we are living it a second time. I was wondering why they didn't show a lot of the prison. I assumed it's because we lost Chance Palermo, who had played Andre, and they didn't want to, have those scenes without him, but now they're doing a really good job reliving those scenes and making the weight of Andre continue on in a very different way, honoring the actor, honoring the character, but also now we get to experience the prison another time without it feeling redundant. It doesn't feel like we've spent too much time here. Even in the flashback of breaking down the plan, those scenes of her escape and then putting us in that position, it's just such a good job playing with time, playing with narrative. Really impressed. Man, the show, I'm really digging it. Really, again, love the themes of acceptance, of who you are being augmented by powers. I think of that with like money, how, who you are without money sometimes gets augmented by when you have money, for better or worse, if you're a good person or a bad person. When you have power, it does, bring out those things in you. And I think the show is doing a really good job of showing that with literal powers as a metaphor for our own reality. And that's what good genre content can do. So really loving the themes, really loving the acting, really loving the storytelling, really loving the writing. No notes in the negative on this one. Favorite episode of the season so far. Would love to know what you guys think of Gen V Season 2, Episode 5. What do you think of the season overall up until this point so far? What did you think of this episode in particular? It ended in a hell of a way. We have them needing to do a prison break next episode, probably a lot of action, and we've only got 3 left, 6, 7, and 8. So what do you guys think is going to be the third act of the show? We've reached this big action climactic moment. Where do you think we go next? What do you think the breakout's going to be like? Do you think Cypher is enough ahead that even if they get out, he's got his next steps planned? I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Sister Sage, what a delight. One of my highlights of season 4 of The Boys. She was my highlight of season 4, and Cypher's my highlight of season 2 of Gen V, and them together works for me. I like it quite a bit. So yeah, would love to know your comments. Please leave a comment below. Like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're not already, because you just watched 9 minutes of me ranting about Gen V. So hopefully we get along and you want to watch more movies, TV, comics, all that stuff. Subscribe, and we'll be back next week for more Gen V. I think right now this page is the finale of Peacemaker, as well as a bunch of movie goodness. This is a very stacked October, so lots of stuff in this page, and I will see you here. All right, much love. Bye, guys.